Welcome to Dark Loops Productions, What You Love, Cosplayers, a podcast in which I get together with cosplayers and ask them three questions. What do you love about cosplay? How'd you find it? And how do you keep it in your daily life? I'm Dr. Scott Jordan, aka Zombie Scotty. I'm a cognitive scientist philosopher at Illinois State University. And today I have the great pleasure of meeting some folks I ran into at San Diego Comic-Con back in July. So before I talk about that story and all how all that happened, I think I'll introduce everyone or ask them to introduce themselves. And we'll start with photographer Kyle. Kyle, please tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Muted. I'm
There you
Kyle.
go.
I have a bajillion jobs these days. But I'm an editor, a videographer. My main gig nowadays is doing sustainability on commercial productions. So, composting, recycling, food donations, waste reports, all that kind of fun stuff. As far as like cosplay stuff goes, I've been recording a lot of Scott's panels and a lot of the other folks in the nerd psychology community at cons for the last couple of years, and so they sort of dragged me into this cosplay world kicking and screaming.
There you
um,
go.
but it's really fun and good for your brain and soul.
It is absolutely good for your brain and your soul. All right, then. And then joining us is a group of cosplayers I ran into. Kyle and I organized an anime cosplay photo shoot at San Diego, and these wonderful people showed up. Before I ask you to introduce yourselves, I'll tell you part of our mission was I told Kyle, we're going to take group photos, right? We got to do that on the steps. That's what you do. But then I invite you to work individually with the individual cosplayers and kind of get the photo that you want out of them or the photo that they want to get. And the photos that we got proved that that actually happened. So, dear friends, please tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, hi. Um, we're a group of friends from Mexico. My name is Alicia. I'm actually a graphic designer. And, well, we all like cosplay and anime. So there we go.
Well, you mentioned cosplay and then you mentioned anime. So I think we could probably talk for an hour and a half. So the rest of your friends, who are they?
Hi, I'm Maria. I'm a mechatronics engineer by day and anime and cosplay lover by night.
Fantastic. I love it.
Hi, my name is Juan. I am an automation professor here in University of Mexico. Also, I love anime.
Absolutely. And finally,
Yeah. I'm Diego. I'm a construction worker, and we all love anime and all the culture pop stuff.
fantastic. So maybe at some point in the show, we'll get to asking all of you what your favorite anime might be. But we're doing this as a special edition of What You Love, I call What You Love Cosplayers. And in those shows, I ask people three questions. What do you love about cosplay? And then how did you find it? I think it's important to get that backstory. And then how do you keep it in your daily life? What do you got to do every day to keep doing this? So I'm going to ask that first question. What do you love about cosplay? Well, I'll ask the group to go first, and then I'll ask Kyle to follow up. So what do you guys love about cosplay?
Well, I think it's like the planning behind it.
Mm,
It's like really interesting. At least in my case, I just go wild with cosplay. Diego is my husband, and he's the one like the practical head in planning things
mm.
because I just go like, yes, we're gonna do all this crazy stuff, and he's like, okay, just
Okay, let's make it
stop.
real.
Yes, stop and think realistic.
How?
And how are we gonna do it? And how are we gonna manage to take all these things from Mexico to San Diego?
Yes.
And well, that's one of the parts that I really like about it because it's a couple thing
Yeah.
and we do it together, and it's like one of the things that like we enjoy doing together, and it's like it's what, like a month away from Comic-Con, and we're already thinking about next year. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's
I
part of
love
what I
the idea of the social relationships involved in cosplay. So my sister and I do a lot of team cosplays. And what we'll do is we'll get on the phone because she lives hundreds of miles away from me, and we'll talk about what cosplays we might do. And the next thing you know, we're both on our phones on Amazon, ordering wigs and ordering things. And, one of the things I try to impress upon people, one of the reasons for the podcast is when my sister and I, even though she's 100 miles away, when we're sitting there on the phone working with each other, um, we're still being with each other, right? It's our hobby, it's our way to be with each other. I like to say it's real, right? I mean, we don't have to go out to dinner for it to be real, right? We can just talk to each other on the phone. And then, my God, getting stuff to the con, it's horrible. I mean, I usually come with like 3 or 4 cosplays. So I got a suitcase. I got to make sure it doesn't go over 50 pounds. I got to pay extra money for luggage. But you show up at the con and, one person says, I like your cosplay, and it's
Yeah.
worth, it's worth the whole thing, right? Kyle, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so I find that as far as cosplay itself goes, I'm usually working at the conventions, and I have this big turtle shell backpack that weighs like 50 pounds, so it's kind of a lot going on. But the only con that I've cosplayed at was LA Comic Con last year, and I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like that's a series that got me into like working out and and all that. But I went as Joseph
Love it.
Joestar at LA Comic Con last year, and I was filming this panel, and there was someone who was dressed as Josuke from Part 8. And afterwards, and this kid comes over, and we have this like lovely conversation
Yes.
about like our costumes and JoJo's that I would have never ever had like the courage to walk up to someone and just like cold talk to them about about anime. So I think like cosplay can really make a lot of happy surprise relationships that you would have never you otherwise never would have had the opportunity to to have, and it's a beautiful thing.
It really, really is. You all saw that I cosplayed Garp from One Piece.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right after our photo shoot, they were doing a One Piece 25th anniversary musical celebration at that band shell. And so you had to walk across, walk to it. And then in order to get in the line, you had to pass everybody else who was already in line and walk all the way around. And I swear to God, the number of people who called out "Garp, Garp," just the pictures, it was totally
Yeah.
worth it. And then you sit there and you talk about your favorite scene from One Piece and that sort of thing. And it really is a satisfying experience. So, friends, who else? What do you love about cosplay? Anyone else over there?
For me, is the detail that goes into the costumes. Like you can like be really, really close to that person, and you can see all the little things that they have to came up with. So how did they do that? Or like pins, or even the buttons. Like in a photo, you wouldn't be able to see the buttons.
Right.
But in close, in person, you see the detail that goes in every costume that everyone does. So for me, the detail, and sometimes they do things that are very practical, like the guns, uh, the swords, everything that they have to add to the costume, and it's
Yeah.
like very practical and very functional. So it amazes me. It amazes me every time.
Yeah. The small details and the props, they completely matter. I had cosplayed Garp before, but
Uh-huh.
this time I decided to buy a bag of small black plastic ball pit balls.
Hmm. We
And then
have one of those. You
and
gave
then
us.
Yeah.
You gave us the cannonballs.
man, I swear to God, those went over. People were just shocked. Oh my God, that's so cool. And
By the
you were
way, our
gonna,
kids love those.
no, it was so cool. Little kids loved them. To be honest, it feels like Santa Claus. Just kind of feels like Santa Claus. Um,
Do you know
so
the story?
go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Do you know the story that Adam Savage from Mythbusters tell about that? he was giving some gold. He was dressed as Snowface, so he started giving people gold pieces, coin pieces, and people started yelling and throwing. He's like, why is everyone is doing that? He remembered, oh, if you receive gold, it's bad luck.
Oh no. I guess you just never know. Um, so one of the reasons that I called you guys is, of course, you appeared in the photo shoot, but there was one particularly stunning picture of Davi that, if I have the character correct, it blew me away. And so I'll actually edit the image into this file as the screen here as we set it up. But I could tell that the photographer and the model worked on that picture. And I could tell there was a lot of energy on both sides of the camera. So if both of you could take turns talking about what it was like, and if that's a weird question, you can say, shut up, I don't want to answer. But that energy is it's creative energy, and that's one of the reasons I do this, right? So either one of you go first. I don't care. What was it like making that shot?
Well, oh, thank you. Well, for me, it was like really fun. I was so excited about dressing up like Davi because I love this character. I'm really into like Nine Inch Nails music and industrial things and like punk vibes and stuff. And I love this character so much. I was so excited making this cosplay. Diego can tell you guys, I was so intense about it. I almost had no sleep. I like finished the coat, like sewing it up like an hour before we took the flight. But I got it ready.
Yeah.
Something ready. I want to adjust it like in so many aspects right now, but I love it so much. So I felt like a total rock star dressed up as
yes.
that.
Yes, you look.
It sounds weird, but I totally loved it.
No, but all day she was Davi. It was not only for the photo shoot. So as soon as we get out of the hotel and she was walking down the street, she was Davi all the way. Even if we were eating at the restaurant, she was like Davi, like very, very angry.
But it was so cool because people at the restaurant was like, oh God, Davi is sitting over there. I hope like he doesn't burn down the place. like it just felt so good.
Yes.
And she was Nana, so it was like I was with the hero while we were walking down the street to the con.
That's
and it was
awesome.
like, so funny.
And I was like, be nice, be nice.
Be nice. Well, it's also so much fun when the people you're around get it. They know what you're doing, they understand it, and they lean into it a little bit. One of my easiest cosplays to do is Logan. And all I do is I dye my hair black, I put a bloody white shirt on, and I put a black jacket on like I'm a chauffeur. And then I walk around with a cigar and and everybody loves Logan. I want to write a book called Logan Gets All the Love. And so I needed a break. So I set my things down on a windowsill, and there's a little kid there, and he said, can I try him on? I said, well, ask your mom and dad. And they said, yeah, you can try him on. And the next thing you know, kids doing Wolverine. I just love it. I just love being part of creating this space where those kind of things can happen. And what I'll dare say, people can play. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they just free to play. Once you got cosplay out, it's pretty obvious you're up for play. So it creates a space for everybody to smile a little bit. So Kyle, what was it like for you doing that shots?
So I like what you said about play, Scott, and that is, I think, so much of the fun of cosplay, and in particular working with, Alicia and your My Hero group, that I learned photography working for a yoga website, and my mentor was a yoga photographer, so it was very commercial. And my mentor, Andrea Killam, she's amazing, but she really taught me like poses, and how to look for your lines. What is a body doing? And in the context of like a paid commercial gig, you have to be very precise about things. But what we were doing at the convention, was just very much, it lucked out that I knew my hero, and your costumes were so amazing, and so it was very much like, you know, rapid fire. What kind of character appropriate pose can we put someone in? What could we do with their lines? What could we do to, you know, accent what your costume's doing? I think like with cosplay, you have a couple of fun things at play, right? You have the character that you're embodying, like terrifying Dobby, terrifyingly unstable Dobby. Then you have what the cosplayer brings to it, you know, like you as a person and what you bring to that character. And then you have the artistry of your costume. And I found that with, you know, everyone, when we broke out into individual groups, I made sure that I wanted to get, you know, a cool full body pose shot. And I absolutely wanted to get at least one costume detail shot of everyone. So I think when you look at cosplay photos on the internet, usually you see a lot of full body stuff. And I have sort of like a bad habit that whenever I see a lot of something, I have this compulsion to just do something else.
Do something different.
And so for that, I wanted to show off, you know, the work that everyone was putting into their costumes, like you know, the rings that were just stuck to your skin. I thought that was so like, whoa.
Exactly.
And so, you know, everyone in this group just had so much going on. There was so much to play with. And, you know, and we had such a, you know, it was a very short, you know, kind of shoot, right? We were all hanging out for maybe a half an hour or so. So it was really like, oh, new idea, new choice, keep going. And I think that's part of the challenge and fun of it too. But yeah, I thought it was just a lot of really fun playing going on, and in a way that, you know, commercial shoots just don't have that same kind of fun, playful, whimsical, you know, vibe going on.
And that's where the energy is. I mean, you can get us all posing on a stairway, and that is nice. And I'm really, really glad we got those. But there's so much more energy in individuals and what they're wearing. And that's kind of what we wanted to portray. And we'll do this again and next year. And what we'll do is set up more time. Those cosplay photo shoots are not officially associated with San Diego Comic-Con. They get set up unofficially. But next year we'll schedule a half hour for the stairs, and then we'll just tell everybody we'll stick around for an hour. And if you can be patient, you know, we'll give everybody their time, because that's what people want. I mean, the Dobby photos, some of the other close-ups, the psychedelic stuff you did, I assume that's after the fact, right? You know.
That was in camera. Was just playing around with a couple of long exposures. I'm like, wait, I haven't done this trick yet. Let's see what we can get.
For real? So the photo itself came out that way?
Yeah, I did like a
Wow.
little bit of color tweaking to it, but yeah, those ones were just playing around in camera.
Yeah, well, some of those qualify as potential album covers. So you know, we'll keep that in mind. So, you know, we've kind of talked a bit about this photo shoot itself. How'd you guys get into cosplay? And if you feel you've already answered the question, you don't have to answer it again. But you know, I got into it. I'm not even going to tell you how old I am. What I'll tell you is that I got into cosplay in 2017. My sister and I went to the first ever Con of Thrones. So it was a Game of Thrones only con. Everybody there was cosplaying Game of Thrones. It was unbelievable. I did Jamie Nohan Lannister, and she did Brianna Tarth, and we did the Bear and the Maiden Fair. And my sister had a huge gash on her neck, and I had no hand. And it was our first cosplay ever. And we got 16th place, man. I mean, you know, we'll take it. But that was how we got into it. So I'm just, you know, what is it that drew you guys into cosplay? Remember your first one, or?
No, for me, I think I I did a lot of costumes, but one that I love is Dogman. Uh,
Mm,
the first, like, I put some effort and time, so that's actually the day that when I met Alicia,
mm,
because I was on a Halloween party,
ah,
and I was like, nah, I don't want to rent it, I don't want to buy it, so
right.
I want to make it my own. So
Yeah.
that was my first cosplay.
No, that's awesome. Anyone else?
For me, I think I've always loved like dressing up,
Mm,
but like when I was really little, I remember like this really cute, cool Halloween costume I did of the Sanderson sisters with a pair of friends. I was Winifred Sanderson, and I rocked it. I was like 8 years old, and I remember. But
Yeah,
after
that's
that,
awesome.
I think it was like after I met Diego, like when we started dating, it was like, okay, it's time for Halloween. What are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do?
This has to be done right. So
Yes.
that's how we started. And after we got to Comic-Con, like we tried 7 years to get our badges.
Wow.
Years.
Wow.
And we finally got them.
Well,
And
good
since
for
then,
you.
we've been, like, trying to set up the bar like higher every year.
No, that's awesome.
Now we actually, like Kyle, we started working out to get better at cosplaying. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
here we
So
are.
who knew cosplay was good for your health, right?
Yeah. It's another like podcast theme.
Yeah, there you go. It's a cosplay in good health. So for the final question, how do you keep cosplay in your daily life? And what I mean here is, you know, I know what it takes for me to keep it in my life, and usually what it means is I'm calling my sister and getting design ideas, and then deciding how much craft work I'm going to try to do or not. But how about you guys? How do you keep it in your daily life? And then Kyle, we'll come back to this question for you regarding photography and that sort of thing, right? So cosplayers, how do you keep it in your daily life?
For me, it's what we already said with Kyle, like, we want to make some fitness cosplay. So we make our point, like, if I really get fit, I'm gonna make Puri Prisoner.
Yeah.
So without clothes.
Right.
So, that's for me. It's searching that am I gonna have mustache? Am I gonna have a beard?
Right.
So I have always searching for what I'm gonna make for next year, or I'm going to run it's called Hyrox, and I cosplay as Forrest Gump, so I'm taking my beard and so your hair. So
All right.
I'm not showering.
No, man, I mean, I may be too young for a white beard, but I tell you what, for cosplay, the authentic white beard rocks. I mean, there's so I just keep it because I use it in my cosplay. Anybody else over there? How are you about keeping cosplay in your life?
We're planning the cosplays for next year, so that is going to be our goals for the entire year. So if we decided like we're going to cosplay this movie, perhaps, I don't know, Beetlejuice. So we are going to start doing whatever it needs to have a better cosplay, even if it's to work out or to cut your hair or to gain weight, perhaps, I don't know. It's going to be our goal for the entire year. So everything that we are going to do in our spare time, we are going to do it around the cosplays we are going to need, because it's not going to be just one. We are 3 days, 4 days.
You know, I highly go ahead.
I must say something else, because here, our engineer is totally obsessed about transportation.
Yes.
So she's like already thinking about how are we going to get stuff over there.
Do we need lights? Do we need to move some motors, some sensors?
We need trunks.
Yeah. That's awesome. You know, you guys, I would strongly recommend you consider submitting a panel proposal to San Diego next year as a cosplay group. Right. If you have photos that you've done of the work that you've done as you do your job this year, getting ready, take photos of the process. I have no idea whose panels they pick, but I will tell you that if you get a panel, you get a free pass to the con, so you don't have to. So
okay. I like that.
And I think I can't speak for them at all. But I do know that San Diego Comic-Con is very much committed to diversity, inclusion, and difference. And cosplay is the perfect venue. So I would say if you guys got a cosplay team, propose a cosplay team panel and see what happens. That could be fun. And then of course, invite me to be on the panel with you, right? So
Yeah, yes.
I'm just
We can do Walnut Fitness with cosplay. How I fit,
Absolutely.
how I make myself a fit person.
there you go. All righty then. Fantastic. So Kyle, how about you? How do you keep your love of cosplay or your love of photography in your daily life?
Yeah, so the thing that comes up for me with this conversation is that anything that you enjoy, like it takes time, right?
Yep.
And you really, and I've been finding this in my personal life that you really have to make time for the things that you care about. Like you have to spend time paying your bills, cooking, cleaning, living your life, right? You have to do that. But the fun stuff, it doesn't happen if you don't make time for it. And for me, I would say that as far as photography goes, I've been doing a long-running trash photography series where I'll take a camera when I'm walking around, and if I see a piece of garbage in nature, like I'll take a photo of that. And I have some of my pieces are on display now, but for part of it for me, it's looking for new ways to expand my craft. Like I recently got into doing salvaged frames. I do sustainability on commercials. So I was kind of bored having all my photos just on the hard drive, so I started doing prints. The LA Public Library has a media lab where you can do beautiful, massive poster prints for free with your library card.
Wow.
So, if you're in a city, like look and see, maybe your library can help you do, art stuff, like, for free or on the cheap. And so I started looking for, oh, wait, I can salvage all of the parts that I need to make a frame just from things that people are throwing out on commercials. And so for me, it's looking for new avenues for, the photos that I'm taking or, whatever else I'm doing. And, I get bored pretty fast. So I'm always like, wait, do a new thing. Maybe I can watercolor this frame, or like maybe I'll take a painting or something.
Yeah.
But, the most important part, though, is just making sure that I carve out a little bit of time to keep doing this stuff, because it's really a self-feeding loop. If you don't work on it, it just collects dust. And if you take it out, it's going to want to do more,
Well, I love what you're saying there. So I was an administrator, a department chair, a Department of Psychology for 15 years. Last 2 weeks ago, Friday, I was my last day as chair. I had decided to step out of the position, and I was still nonetheless able to put the time aside I needed to write papers, to do cosplay, to do these things, because sometimes you've got to, as you said, you've got to do a job, you've got stuff you've got to get done, and if that ends up crushing what you want to do, that can lead to despair, right? That can really just drag us down and lead to despair. So having these little conversations like this where we celebrate creativity, we celebrate what we love, I think I can say all of our days are a little brighter now that we came here and hung out and talk about this stuff. And it's just got to be intentional, right? You just got to make it happen. So I think we've answered the major three questions about what you love. I'm just going to turn the floor over and see if any of you have questions you want to ask, or if you have things you want to say. And if the answer is no, we can go. If the answer is yes, we can keep talking.
You say about your white beard. Do you use your look to make your cosplay, or like, nah, I'm gonna shave, nah?
So actually, if you look at this beard, you can, well, it's better than this. You can see it was cut much more like Garp's. So it used to actually come down and be fuller. And I went out, I used to do Garp as if, so if you've seen the live action, it happens in the anime. Garp and Luffy have a fight. And it's really poignant in the live action. I mean, Garp literally beats the crap out of Luffy. And Luffy's baffled as to why Grandpa would do that. And basically, Grandpa says, I needed you to prove to me that you could take care of yourself. If you want to go into the Grand Line, you're going to meet worse than me all the time. And so I was just really drawn to that character So when I first started cosplaying Garp, I acted, what I cosplayed was Garp in the future on an island wearing a Luffy poster, an Admiral jacket, a straw fedora, because the first straw hat was a fedora, and a fake mojito, celebrating Luffy's maturation into the Grand Line. People didn't get that cosplay so much, because when you go future with characters like I love to, sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. So when I went to San Diego, I just went full on Garp with the white double-breasted jacket and the whole thing. And then I, cut this. So, so the beard is it's just so authentic. How can, and I'll just be honest with you, there ain't a whole lot of people walking around with white beards at Comic Cons. So I try to find a way to make it work. If you guys saw Stranger Things, in season 1 of Stranger Things, at the end of the season, Dr. Brenner gets attacked by a Demogorgon. Yeah. So what I've done in the past is walk around with a bloody Demogorgon head and blood all over my face, as if Brenner actually killed it and cut its head off, right? The beard's in those pictures at some point. So some cosplays, I want the beard, some I don't. I did Logan once, and I didn't have a beard, so I crayoned it on, and it looked okay, but the authentic thing is, I think it might be here to stay. And I'll be doing Garp for a while, that's for sure.
You're a great I don't see anything bad.
All right, cool. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Well, we are going to do anime for the next year. That's a fact.
You're going to do anime next year? Do you have an idea which one?
Yes, of course. I don't know if only one day. But for this year's anime, I just want to add, well, for this year's cosplay, about how decisions were taken. I just think it's fun to know, because we're not like professional cosplayers. Right. We just do it for the fun of it. And I don't consider myself professional at all, because I don't think we have been doing it like for so long as you for example. But this year was really fun for me, because we had to totally improvise his Mr. Compress cosplay. Like a day, the same day we were leaving, we had to improvise.
Wow.
Because decisions were made about not having two eraser heads in our group.
Okay.
So I was being totally unreasonable about having a Stain in our group, because Stain is such a cool character too, and I think he could totally rock it. But he was like, be real, woman. We can't do it right now. So he went in the morning to buy all his Mr. Compress outfit. I don't know how he did it, but he did.
That's awesome.
And on the day we wore it, I think, I painted his mask. I painted his mask at the hotel we were staying.
In the morning, no?
In the morning, yeah. Before like no, I was already like doing the makeup, right? And then all of them were helping me like to paste all the rings on my face and my hands.
And the hair.
It was so intense, to get me ready. It was like so fun, so much fun. Well, I think it was fun. I don't know you guys.
Yes.
But it was like a group work, and I don't know, it was really fun.
It's a lot of fun, and it is a lot of work. Things start to fall apart on your costumes. So the Garp cannonball bag had a cheap zipper on top of it.
No.
I had to tie it to my belt somehow. The next thing you know, it's falling apart and cannonballs are falling everywhere. So you improvise and you just do your best. But all of that's theoretically part of the fun.
So what's the worst thing that happened to you in a cosplay? Like my pants snap or something like.
Oh, let me think about that for a second.
Can it look like he's remember something?
Yes.
What's that?
What has been the worst thing that happened to you in a cosplay?
Oh, go ahead.
Go for it, Scott.
So this is bizarre. The worst thing that happened in a cosplay is we did one well, and I don't think anybody liked it at all because of the characters we played. So we did characters from The Handmaid's Tale, which was dangerous from the beginning.
Yes.
My sister dressed as one of the handmaids, and then I went as Commander Lawrence. I don't know if you saw the show, but the beard, it totally works. It was a great cosplay, and we just felt bad because I think nobody wanted to see anything about that story in contemporary America. So that was one of the worst things. Yeah, other than that, it's usually I've never really had something fall apart that I couldn't use or something like that. I've had lights that don't work. So I don't know if you've seen The Expanse, but I love to cosplay the character Joe Miller, and he gets caught up in this thing called the proto molecule. It's blue lights everywhere, so I put them on my coat. You spend hours cutting little holes in the coat, putting lights in, and then they don't work, and you're on the floor walking around in this jacket. Like, why are you just wearing a jacket? So that's probably close to the worst. Or I had to put the Christmas lights inside the back of the, inside out, and then tape them in. And then I'd put my arm through and rip the cords out. It was just horrible. But you figure out a way to make it work eventually. You know how it is. It didn't work that time. So then you figure out, okay, I need better tape. I need better this or that. And then you fix it and you do it. So
you live and you learn.
You live and you learn. And then, as you guys said, you always want to try to do it better.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that better? How are we going to do that better? And that's really one of the fun parts about it. Absolutely. Kyle, you were going to say something about worst cosplay thing, or?
Oh, I don't know if this counts as a cosplay as a cosplay thing. You can decide.
That's all good.
So back when I was in high school, I forget the exact context for this, but for French class, we had to do we had to film a sketch for French class. And my friends and I decided, well, what if we did like loosely a Full Metal Alchemist based thing? So like one of us had like a metal arm made out of tinfoil, and what if they fought Shadow Heartless from Kingdom Hearts? Like the little ambly dudes. And so we thought like, oh wait, what if we have them jump off the roof to start the fight of my mom's house? And so I was dressed in like all black with little slippers on, and when I tried to jump off my mom's roof to see if I could land it, I was wearing sneakers. It was fine, but wearing these black slippers, because they were the only black things that we as high schoolers could scrounge up, they don't have any traction on them. Nope. So I'm carrying, I don't know, I was carrying a sword or something like that. I jump off my mom's roof, my feet slip out from under me, and I just land hard on my ass, and just like bam down, carrying a sword.
Oh my goodness.
And we didn't do any retakes, and we left that in when we submitted it to class. It was so silly and embarrassing.
The video is still in somewhere.
I'll have to check. I have the hard drive. I have the hard drive with it.
That's
someplace.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right, then. Any final things anybody wants to say before we sign off here? That's perfectly fine. What I do want to give you all the opportunity to do is tell the audience where they can find you on social media, if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay. And we'll start with Kyle.
So last closing things, I would say y'all should definitely, echoing Scott, definitely submit a cosplay panel, because like as a group, as an ensemble, you are all like such a strong team, and your costumes were so cohesive and detailed, and I mean I would just love to see more from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
For my stuff, my Instagram is Kyle Rebarf. You can see some of my trash photos there. I also just did a little bit of a hand animation where I just drew a bunch of hands and did some weird psychedelic stuff to that over some chill studying music that I did, which is also is Kyle Rebarf. My last name is Rebar, and Rebarf is what the kids used to call me in grade school on the playground. So I've reclaimed it.
Yeah,
but,
there you go.
Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, that's fantastic, and thank you so much for being here today, and thanks for doing the photo shoot. I got to tell you that this was my first time organizing one of these things, And I've gone to San Diego a few times, and I've, it's always what's the next cosplay? What's the next cosplay? I do GARP. I do Professor Edward Elric. So I have all these anime cosplays that I want to do. And so I looked on the schedule, and there were no anime cosplay photo shoots set up. So I contacted the guy, and he said, just do this. Well, just do this is a little harder than just do this. But nonetheless, I just did this, put it up there, and people showed up. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a whole family there of Luffy's, right?
Yeah.
And they were just so excited to be part of it. And that was like the highlight of the con for me. Just, working to create a space where all this fun can happen. So Kyle, I appreciate you being a part of that. It was fantastic. Alicia, you and your friends, are you at all interested in telling people where they can find you on social media? And if the answer is no, it's fine.
Well, my social media is like basically private life, I think.
Yeah.
So we don't have like a cosplay
That's okay.
Instagram or something yet. So
Yet.
Well, next,
Maybe next
exactly.
we'll have
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Start
Yeah.
your own YouTube channel, document what you go through to make your cosplay. And then when you submit your panel to San Diego, you can put the YouTube channel link down in the bottom and they can check out what you've done. I have no idea if that's ever worked, but it's what I do, just to try to show them if they're interested that there's stuff I do. Again, thanks to all of you for coming to the photo shoot. It just wouldn't have been a photo shoot if people hadn't come. And I think the photos, they really do last a lifetime. And they're a good documentation of what we did. So thank you all for coming. And hopefully we'll see you there next year.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully.
Count.
All right. We'll keep in touch, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And thank you, Kyle, for the photos.
Thank you, Kyle.